Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a pretty cool one. We got a repeat guest, Al Santariga. He is a pretty amazing guy. I'm sure for anybody that hasn't seen a promo, you got to go check that out. I had to do it just because one, it just kind of fit into everything with it, him being into the paranormal and stuff. So I thought Constantine was a pretty good thing. So thanks to Brian M. Bowden for helping me with that Photoshop. And the producer needs to stop what he's doing back there. He's making a lot of noise. So Al Santariga, he's a founder of Bronxville Paranormal Society. He's the director of the New York State UFO Project and the New York State Dogman Project. He's pretty much, I mean, you're into it. Cryptids, UFOs, Bigfoot. I mean, as I said, he's kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to those, and I just really looking forward to it. So Al Santariga is right now.
Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is right.
Then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, Chris, Austin's AOL again. We're going to send out a search party and just, we're not sure. Take him out back and, just teach the man some respect. He needs to learn to respect. So yeah, we'll figure out where he's going. So hopefully he'll be able to join us here later on. But at this time, let's bring on the man of the hour, Al Santariga. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Hi, gentlemen. Thank you for having me back. It's my
I made you sound almost Latin when I said that. Al Santariga.
Well, Italian is Latin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Italy, before it was called Italy, was called Latina. That's why the Romans spoke Latin.
So south of the equator, Latin.
Okay.
Well, we'll differentiate it that way. No, So one of the things, like when we were having you on, so that we're going to talk about, like I said, we have a couple of different things, but we just wanted to catch up on the things you're doing. But its main thing is, let people know what you've got going on right now in way of like major projects, and just kind of get those out of there. So that way we don't have to wait till the end to tease everybody. So what's coming up for you, like in the grand scheme of things? Do you have events or shows type thing?
Yeah, in December I have a meetup that I'm going to. A friend of mine, William Helms, does it. His group is called Casper Paranormal. He's doing like a Christmas party. It's a great meetup because up here in the Hudson Valley, we got a bunch of paranormal teams, and it's like a para-unity thing. Everybody shows up for the meetups, and you get to see all these people that you worked with over the years, the people and it's a lot of fun. And you just get to hang out and shoot the breeze, and so that's coming up in December. And then let's see, what do we have? Oh, in January, I'm going back there again. Bill wants me to do a Bigfoot presentation for all the paranormal guys. So I'm going to be doing a Bigfoot presentation for those people. And at some point in January, I have an exorcism coming up. I had a client reach out to me with some really scary audio and some really horrible photos of her being beaten while she sleeps.
What?
And so I reached out to a few people. I reached out to Katie Turner from the Travel Channel, the psychic. And she said as soon as she heard the audio, her guides told her to shut it off. It was demonic. So she freaked out, and she freaked me out when she told me that. Brian and I, Brian cleaned it up. We slowed it down, and Brian, we were able to figure out what it was saying, and it was saying, "I'm going to kill her, kill her, kill her." Said her name, and then another woman's voice came in and said, "No, like no, you're not." And then it said, "Kill her, kill her, kill her." So I reached out to some friends of mine, Larry and Deb Elwards. Larry is a demonologist, and Deb is a psychic. And I let them listen to the audio, and I let them see the photographs. And they were like, "Okay, we got to do this right away." And it turned out, funny thing was, the week before, I was at an investigation with John Zaffis and Eric Vitale, Timothy Dalton, and just a whole bunch of other people. And I was talking to John about it. And while I was talking to John about it, Larry had messaged me. It turns out that Larry and John are related. So I didn't even know it. And then when John caught wind of what was going on with me, Larry, and Deb, he said, "I want in too." So he's going to come as well. Supposed to do it 2 weeks ago, but they got sick, and then we were supposed to do it last Sunday, and the client had to work. So they pushed it off till January after all the holidays. So that's coming up in January. Again, it's something that's way above my pay grade. I wouldn't even get involved with it if it wasn't a relative of mine. But this is something that I have to be involved in. And like I said, when I go there, I'll leave it up to Deb and Larry if it's safe for me to stay or if I should go. And if they want me to stay and videotape, I'll video. If they want me to just leave, I'll just drop them off, introduce them to my family member, and then I'll get out of Dodge. Whatever they want from me, they got. But this is crazy stuff. I mean, it's just, I didn't want to tell my relative what it said, but she was really, I need to know. She was freaking out because, anxiety. And Deb said, "Don't tell her." And then she just kept breaking my chops. And I said, "Look, once the cat's out of the bag, we can't put it back in the bag. Are you sure you want to hear what we got?"
Wow.
And she said, "Yes, I want to hear." So then when I told her that this thing is saying it's going to kill her and mentions her by name, you know what I mean? It really freaked her out. But what are you going to do?
Do you know where it may have came from, and has it been around haunting her for a while now, or is it just something that just popped up, like something?
She's this side of my family is very connected to the paranormal. Her grandmother was a white witch, and her aunt was a witch. Not sure if it was a white witch or a black witch. Her mother wasn't involved in any of that stuff. I mean, she did seances and stuff, but didn't practice anything. I don't know if it's something that's been following her whole life, or if it's something she just moved into a new location, and when she moved in, they gutted the whole place out and started over. And it's in a very historic part of Westchester County, so I don't know if it's the land, or if it's her, or if it's the home or what, but she's had a lot of issues over the years with stuff, you know what I mean? But nothing as dark as this now.
Yeah, I mean that's always, for me, when I've been doing these shows, that's one of the things that's always just kind of, I mean, I'm still, even with everything I've learned, I'm still in the mind that there has to have been at some point something where a doorway was opened, an invitation was brought in, because I'm I'm still not a believer that I could just be walking down the street and all of a sudden, bam, a demon's attached to me. I'm possessed, and now, now I'm foaming at the mouth, crawling up the walls. It's something. At some point, I had to open myself up to some form of attachment. Yeah, and so I don't know where your thoughts are on that.
I mean, I would say no, Craig. I would say that somebody could be burning candles. I mean, it's candle magic.
That's opening a doorway.
You didn't per se open it, but I mean, somebody else opened it. It's like you kind of just implied that I opened it, or something like that. I mean, so yeah, you're right. I don't believe that they can just jump on you like that, but it's something. I mean, maybe they could if you have that intuition of, a lineage of spirit advisors and witches and stuff. Maybe it's your time. If you're hearing this, maybe it's your time to jump into the divination world or the psychic world.
Yeah, and it could be something that they brought in from like an antique shop that had something attached to it. You know what I mean? And was dormant until her energy changed. I don't know if, maybe her energy changed, and by her energy changing, as this is all speculation, that invited this thing into the house, or it invited it to come out of its slumber. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, lack of, like I said, most people should know this by now. I'm a huge cinephile. It's one of those. I always liken it to, you have to say Beetlejuice 3 times. You can't just show up. You can't all of a sudden. It's like, yeah, I'm the ghost of the most, babe. And he's just out of nowhere. I mean, you have to say Beetlejuice. You have to do, and that's kind of what I mean. There has to have been some like conscious, because everybody battles your demons, depression, whatever it is. But there has to be something to where, in that moment of despair, you open yourself, because people say, I just want, something, and right there, I said, most people know it's like with demonic, it doesn't immediately come in and suddenly you're spitting pea soup and climbing the walls. A lot of times it comes as a bearer of amazing, like all of a sudden you have that peace, you have that calm, and then, now it's got you. It's like, and that's what I said. I feel like there has to have been, for most of these people, there had to have been some moment where you said Beetlejuice the 3rd time, and now it's a matter of Al and the group having to come back and say Beetlejuice, that 3 times again to get him the heck out of there. And that's, so that's one of those, for exorcisms, I've always, this is like my genre. I mean, it is, I don't care what show, hence why I use Constantine for you. I mean, that's what I said. Anytime you're dealing with the occult, the demonic and stuff like this, like we just watched, Pray for the Devil. We just went to the theaters and watched, that's my genre of movie. I'm all over those. And so, so when you're talking about this one, it's like, ooh, yeah, it's like, all right, now we're talking my subject.
Yeah, and you know what, I've done cleansings in her home. Her previous home, I cleansed an elemental out of the home. She had an elemental in her home that was beating her and everything, and I was able to get it out of the last condo that she lived in. And when she took over, this happens to be her mother's house and her mother's townhouse. When her mother passed, now she's had a lot of debts in her family the last few years, so she's very depressed all the time. Okay, which is like opening the door. You know what I mean? According to Deb and Larry, depression is one of the main things that they see as an entry point. Oh, this was depressed. Let me go work on that one. She had issues over the summer. I was there for a cleansing. Okay. A lot of weird stuff was going on. She sent me a lot of video, a lot of pictures, and turned out I went there to cleanse the place, and it turned out that her husband had a love spell put on him from some chick at work. Okay. And I had to reach out to Miss Aida to help me with this, because again, this is above my pay grade. And Miss Aida walked me through everything we needed to do to break the spell, because when someone puts a spell on you, it's very, very difficult to break these spells. You have to go through a whole ritual of stuff. After about 7 days, we were able to break the spell from her husband, which pissed the chick off that he worked with, because now he wasn't in love with her anymore. And then she put a curse on him. And then we had to go start all over again with a whole different kind of ritual. Again, thank God for Miss Aida, because without her, I would have been lost. And she walked me through that. And we got through that. And it was, like 2 weeks. I mean, because the ritual takes a week for each one, And then after 2 weeks, I went there and I told my cousin, I was like, listen, I brought everything I need to cleanse this house and seal it, and I want to even cleanse the property. When can we do this? Because it was her schedule, my schedule, our schedules. And she said, yeah, we'll do it. And I said, don't drag your feet on this, because the longer this stuff is here, the stronger it's going to get, the harder it's going to get out. And we never got around to doing that cleansing. And so I think because we never got around to doing that cleansing, that this energy that was there just got stronger and stronger and stronger. Yes, her husband is all taken care of now. He doesn't have any attachments. He's fine. But what's ever dark that's there is targeting her, So now she's being targeted. And so it's like, and I tell this to people all the time. I did another cleansing where some kids were playing with a Ouija board, okay, in a historic cemetery, a revolutionary cemetery, and they opened up a portal at somebody else's house. Like, this house is directly behind the cemetery. These kids live 3 houses over. But they were hanging out in the cemetery playing with a Ouija board. And the people who lived in the house behind the cemetery are people who are psychic. They all have psychic abilities in the family. All right. It comes down from the grandmother. And this thing went to their house. And from there, it opened up 2 different portals in the house. There were 2 different portals in 2 different rooms. And again, I had to call Katie Turner up in Canada, and Katie walked me through it, and she read the family, and she told me all the stuff we needed to do. And she told me how you could tell if a mirror is a portal. She said, if a mirror is a portal, all you have to do is stick your finger up against it. If there's space between your finger and the glass, that mirror is a portal and it needs to be closed. If there's not, then that mirror is fine. And these people had mirrors all over the house. They had like 6 million mirrors. And in the bedroom, they had two full like mirrors facing each other, which can create a portal. And when I walked into their bedroom, the energy was so strong that it knocked me to my knees. I had to sit down. And Katie was like, okay, this is the portal. And this house was like humongous. And I was there for like 2 days cleansing it, and it took a lot out of me. I put the family to work, and we closed both of the portals. And we were able to, in the long story, we were able to close both portals and push. There was some revolutionary soldier who owned all the property that the house was built on. It was like a farm. Wow. And he was buried in that cemetery. And he was the one who was in the house hitting all the people in the house. He didn't like women. He was beating all the women in the house. Shit. And I chased him out of the house. We were cleansing the house. And it was pretty wild because we were outside. We had started from the top and we worked our way down room from room. And like I said, I had his son and this client helping me because I was on my own that weekend. And we pushed everything in. Then when we got outside, we were going to seal the outside. And his daughter showed up to drop something off for his son. She ran in the house, dropped this thing off. And when she came out, she said, "What'd you guys do to the house?" And we said, "Why?" He said, "Because the house feels lighter and better, you know?" And we said, "Yeah, we've been working on it all weekend." And she's like, "Wow, whatever you did, it really worked." Now I couldn't feel the difference because I was so saturated in the energy of that house for 2 days that I was wiped out. But this girl has twin daughters, like 3 years old, and this guy has a room set up. It's like a Barbie room with a tent and the whole 9 yards. And the kids won't go in the Barbie room without an adult because they see a child with no eyes in there. So they won't go in there. So when they walk into the house and they're in the front foyer, they say, "Grandpa, put on the lights." And he puts on all the lights. Well, after we finish cleansing the house, he calls me up and he says, "You're not going to believe what happened." I said, "What happened?" He says, "My two granddaughters came over tonight. And when they walked in the house, they looked around. They looked up like in the corners and everything. And then they grabbed each other's hand and they ran off to go play in the Barbie room." So without anybody. He goes, "So whatever you did, Al, it worked." And I was like, hallelujah, because that's the greatest confirmation. It's greater than anything you could, even his daughter saying, I mean, these two little kids who are seeing a small child with no eyes. And I mean, and then Katie said, when we sealed the house on the outside, we had to grind down red brick and use red brick to seal the property line, And the craziest thing is this guy just happened to have like 10,000 red bricks in his driveway. So we spent a lot of time grinding those bricks down so we could, do a perimeter around the house and around the property line as well.
Now, what's the significance of that red brick?
She said it's got something to do with the way the brick is made, the mortar is made. You know what I mean? That seals, and it also is something that won't wash away, like salt. If it rains or something, it's always going to be there.
Stay there. Okay.
It's going to sink into the dirt. It's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. So I had never heard of the red brick theory until Katie Turner told me, and I had never heard of the portals. When I got home, I got a mirror my father found. My father was a carpenter, and they were doing demolition in the house, and he found this mirror, and he brought it home. He loved the frame on it, right? Brought it home. Now, this mirror, when I do radio interviews, orbs fly in and out of this mirror all the time, okay? I never gave it a second thought. So after I did this thing with Katie, I went over and stuck my finger against that mirror, and I'd be damned, that mirror is a portal. So,
wow.
I mean, I never sealed it because what's ever coming in and out of it is not harmful. I mean, whatever it is, the cats play with it. So, you know what I mean? The cats are always chasing stuff around the house that I can't see. But, it's crazy. I mean, those two cleansings drained me. I was drained for a week after both of them because I was just so, as a matter of fact, the one up here in Dutchess, I was so drained when it was over. I couldn't get out of the property fast enough. I left, and the client called me up, and he said, "You left all your equipment here, your bag with all your stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm not coming back to your house." I said, "You got to bring it to me." I said, "I can't go in that house another day." It was just too draining. But no, it's crazy stuff. I mean, people don't realize that everything we do has consequences. You know what I mean? And these kids, whoever they were in the cemetery getting high, playing with a Ouija board. Now, whatever came out of that cemetery didn't follow them home, but it went to someone else's house and raiding terror there. So.
Yeah. Before I follow up on that one, just one of the questions from somebody watching here. Aurora Boris Queen, what are your thoughts on dealing properly? Not dealing. See, I did too. She's meant sealing, and I just said sealing your property with railroad ties. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I've never heard of railroad ties. I know maybe if you're going to use the iron rails themselves, because iron is a protector as well. It will seal property, but not railroad ties themselves. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and for me, like doll rooms are just creepy. I don't care what it is. They're just creepy. You go in there and just a room full of nothing but dolls. I I I think probably the creepiest one I ever saw is I used to work for Schwann's Frozen Foods as a delivery, and so I took an order inside the house, and there's this whole back room full of dolls and different things like heads are missing and they're in these different positions, and it was owned by a dude.
Yeah, that's
and
creepy.
and that was like, we're talking, Buffalo Bill, from vibes were coming off here. The only thing,
Ted 101.
yeah, the horse's song just just he just start playing as he's coming out in his little, like,
Teddy.
I mean,
I just, yeah, it was just the whole thing. It's just, even now, just thinking about it, just like,
Well,
there's,
to be honest with you, the Barbie room was very. I mean, as a father with a daughter, I've been through the whole Barbie thing. So the Barbie room didn't creep me out. You know what I mean? It was just everything Barbie. You know what I mean? And the kids were so adorable. They're such cute little kids that just brings joy to your heart when you see them. And they're playing and they're happy, and so it's just it's crazy stuff. But the stuff is out there. These things like when I was talking with Miss Aida about the curses and the love spells, you know what I mean? This is the second time she had to help me with somebody who had a love spell put on them. And, people think that this stuff is a joke. No, that doesn't happen. They can't do that. Man, let me tell you, this stuff is not a joke. And the last thing you want is for someone to put an evil eye on you. And I've had the evil eye put on me a couple of times from ex-girlfriends and stuff, and I had to go to my aunt, the White Witch, to get them taken off. You know what I mean? Because after a while, you just can't. You can't. One person can't have that much bad luck. Something is wrong.
yeah,
And it doesn't seem like you've got a spell on you because you don't know. You don't realize that someone has really jinxed you, and you have to go to someone who does it. As soon as my aunt seen me, and I was there one day for coffee and cake, and she was like, "What happened to you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she told me, she said, your aura, somebody put she said in Italian, the evil eye on you. She goes, "Let me take care of it." And I said, "Absolutely, do what you got to do." And then as soon as it was lifted, I felt like I lost 25 pounds,
yeah,
And
I bet.
yeah, and I was like, wow, this is great. I mean, but you don't realize it. You just don't realize that you're walking around with this heaviness or these spells, these jinxes that people put on, these curses. I mean, it's crazy. It's out there, and people do it, and people practice it, and if they don't know what they're doing, stuff can go haywire in a heartbeat. And I'm sure these kids who were playing with the Ouija board in the cemetery were just getting high, having fun, probably listening to music, and never realizing that they had conjured something up. And this thing, when it came out or from wherever it was, it seen that house and seen those people in there were psychic. The energy that was coming off of that house was unbelievable. The wife, the kids, everybody was psychic. It was like boom.
I mean, you would have think they would have had their house protected. I mean, they're usually protected against stuff like that, and it went to that house, and to torment them. They know how to get it off.
Yeah, they tried saging, but they didn't know what they were doing. They saged the house originally the very first time with all the windows and doors closed. So they basically sealed the thing in the house. You know what I mean? And yeah, so they did it backwards, and I was like, "No, you guys did it wrong," And but the biggest thing for me was everybody in that house, even though they all had abilities, they weren't practicing. None of them were practicing psychics,
Okay.
but they were all scared to death of everything. Their fear is what fed that thing in the basement. You know what I mean? And it was just unbelievable. They were all so scared. And the same thing with my cousin. She's afraid of her own shadow. her own shadow. And not only feeding it with her fear, but she feeds it with all her depression because of all the people who died recently in her side of the family. She's always so depressed. And you put that depression and then you put the fear on top of the depression. And it's just like a beacon come to me, you know?
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's one of those things too. A couple of the comments too. It's like one, let's see, I think it was M.A. Allen that did that.
Yeah,
He
it
put,
was a long
yeah,
one.
it's, when you stare into the abyss stares back at you. It's like, I could be off, but I mean, I've always just kind of taken that one. It's just that a lot of times, it's just, you can see in any depth, the freedom fighter usually ends up becoming the monster, and it's just, and that's in, it's one of those things you can easily become the very thing that you fight. I mean, that's coming a couple shows ago. That's kind of why I'm hesitant to do the whole beardoism thing, because that's the whole point. Was like, it's a joke, but I also don't want this to become the very thing that I abhor. Some religion where people are throwing their life savings at. It's like, I don't want some dude with a beard throwing me a gigantic check and the family's starving now because he just sent me his life savings. That's
I'll take
not
it.
what I want. No, I won't take it. I'll be returning it.
Show
And I was
me
like,
the money, man.
no. That's exactly the point. It's not supposed to be.
I don't charge anybody for any of my services.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. The reason I got into this was to help people who didn't know where to turn. You know what I mean? And so that's why I do it. And I don't charge. Absolutely not.
I think like what she just, Aurora Boreas Queen, what she just said, when your defenses are down, that's when the dark entities are drawn to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really addresses too what you're talking about. It's like the kids didn't know what they were doing. They were just screwing around with a Ouija board. They were just messing around. They're doing these things. Well, you had the sensitives, the ones that were opening themselves up. Well, they didn't know that they were opening up the doorway to some evil entity or whatever that's floating across towards them, like, just some poisonous gas cloud. I mean, it's like, you can see why they'd be drawn to it, because here's somebody that basically the defenses are down.
Yeah.
They're going to go. Yeah. I mean, why not go for the easy prey? Why tackle? Like I said, these kids have only said Beetlejuice one time. You got to wait for them to say it two more times before you can go after them, where these other people are opening themselves up to the universe, trying to use their skills. They're like, hey, there's an open doorway. I'm going to float right over to it and just start messing with them.
Yeah. And like I said, this one family had first of all, the house was like a mansion. Okay. That's number one. Nice. And number two, they had 6 million mirrors all over the house. I'm not a mirror guy, okay? It takes a lot for me to take my camera and aim it at a mirror and take a picture. I really have to force myself to do that when I'm on an investigation. I don't know why mirrors freak me out. I've never had a bad experience with mirrors, maybe not in this lifetime, but in the past, mirrors just freak me out. And I walked around that house and I was like, are you people, out of your mind? You have mirrors. The whole bathroom was nothing but mirrors. I mean, And they had like 2 bathrooms like that. It was just, but one was fine and one wasn't. And it was just, the energy in that house was just, there was so much stuff coming in. And, like I said, they weren't practicing psychics, but they were like 3rd generation. So the energy was there, and the wife had issues with poltergeist activity and PK stuff going on in the house. And I told her, you need to set up a meditation circle in the yard facing east with quartz crystal stones. And you need to meditate every day for 15 minutes every day to bring your PK stuff down, so the cabinets aren't banging and the drawers aren't flying open and stuff like that. Because she was doing it all, that was her that was creating all that stuff. His father came to stay with him and he went downstairs to sleep in the basement. It was a finished basement, beautiful basement. Father went down there to sleep, and it said his father, in the middle of the night, someone walked up to his father and slapped him right across the head, back of the head.
I'm gone.
Boom.
Yeah.
Father
Hey.
came upstairs, slept on the couch. The next day, he was out. His brother moved in, and same thing happened to his brother. And his brother said, okay, I'm out. And they left. They stayed one night and left. And I went down in that basement, and I sat down there, and I was like, come hit me. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of you. You're not going to scare me out of here, And I felt like it was dodging me. I was chasing this thing from like the boiler room to the stock room to the back door. Because I felt like I knew it was there. I felt it there. I seen the black shadow run across the wall. Like it was trying to get behind me. I don't know if it was trying to get behind me to go out the back door, or if it was trying to get behind me to creep up. But I seen it. And I told him, I see you. What do you think? I don't see you? You know what I mean? I see you. And I got up and I chased him, And eventually, like I said, we chased him right out of the house. And it turned out that when we went to the cemetery to look to see who it was, because Katie said it was a military officer. The person who was buried there, who owned all this property, which was like a giant farm. I mean, there was all kinds of homes on it. The guy was like a colonel or a major in the Revolutionary War. He was a no nonsense kind of guy, and that was the way he ran his unit. That was the way he ran his farm. Do what I say, and that was it. And it did not like the client's brother and father, but it did not like the women in the house either. Both daughters had to move out, and the son was living there with his girlfriend, and she was from Thailand, and she was telling me there's all kinds of stuff going on in this house that ain't right, And so, hopefully we resolve that situation. I told them, I said, look, now that we got it resolved, you guys have to stay on top of this. I'll give you everything you need to stay on top of it. But don't think because the house is quiet now, 3 months from now, it will still be quiet. If you don't sage once a month, if you don't cleanse once a month, you know what I mean? You worked with me on everything we did there, and I said, you know what to do. You were hands-on. And just don't get lazy. And the last thing I heard was that things were starting to act up again because they got lazy.
Wow.
And the one person who I thought wasn't going to listen to me in any way, shape, or form, the wife actually went out and built the meditation circle. And of course, when she was going out there meditating, her husband and her son were making an ass out of her. So she stopped using it. And of course, the poltergeist activity went through the roof again, And I was like, what's wrong with you guys? Why? You should be encouraging your mother to do this so the house stays calm, not making an ass out of her, and embarrassing her. Now she's not going to do it, and stuff is going to go through the roof again. And I tell you, this guy, the client, he's like a vampire. This guy doesn't sleep. And if he does sleep, it's in the recliner in the living room, and it's only for like 4 hours a night. And then he gets in his car and he drives an hour and a half to work, and he sleeps in his car at work because he doesn't want to be in that house.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
before we get too far, Tom had a question. What type of salt do you use for cleansing the homes? What's in your holy water mixture? I'm assuming it's not Morton's, just regular salt off the shelf.
Well, you know what? You could actually use Morton's if that's all you have. But I use I get kosher sea salt from the Dead Sea, shipped over from Israel. That's what I use. And as far as what's in my holy water mixture, it's a mixture that I call the Aqua de Dio, the water of God, and it has a lot of different protective elements to it. I don't want to get into everything I use because it's a laundry list of stuff that I put in there.
I was going to do a joke, but I'm like, he's already said I don't make any money off this. That's what it's like. You go to the site, the Bronxville Paranormal and get the El Santariga holy water bottle right now. Get the bread.
But
Nobody is
but that's-
shipping anything to anybody.
That's some bad karma right there when you're sitting here just selling your own products to cleanse and stuff. So.
No, absolutely not.
Let me back up a little bit though.
Back up.
This is the 22nd. This is 2022. Every hotel is open in the middle of the night now. This is not like the 90s. So you to slap me in the basement, I'm out of there. Hey, Kinfolk, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm going to a hotel. You're not gonna slap me and I'm gonna go sleep on the couch. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, like I said, I turned out like when Katie was reading The Family. Katie Turner, and she's the real deal, and she's scary, scary good. She was telling them his grandmother was from Scotland, and that's where the psychic ability comes from. The grandmother from Scotland side, she brought it over from Scotland. But Katie was telling them stuff like they didn't tell me, like personal stuff, like they had lost a child when he was like 3 years old, to some kind of sickness. And Katie told them, said, "You have 2 children in this house. One is your son that passed away when he was 3, which is, and I had no clue about it, And they were like, they just looked at each other and started shaking. And the other one is something that's not a child, the one with the no eyes. So
that is true, Ramona. All you need is you just need to be quick. The priests aren't very fast, so if you just grab a bottle and just dip it in there real quick, you can have as much holy water as you want. You can get in and out real quick. And then all you have to do is come back the next day and say, "Father, I stole holy water."
No, you know what? my church, the church I go to actually has like a big thing with a spout on it, and you just have to throw a few dollars in the pour box, and then you can get as much water as you want. And I fill my bottles up all the time. I'm always in there. They know me by name.
I love the ones where just the little kids go in there and they try to start drinking it, and you usually see the mom or something like yank them away from the thing. You think about how many people have dipped their hands in there.
Oh God.
That's in all Catholic churches. I've never been to a Catholic church, so I wouldn't know. I'm just
that was the ones I go to are all Catholic churches. Yes, and we could just go in and get the water. Like I said, if you give $2 to the poor box, you could fill up your holy bottle of holy water, and the priest won't say anything to you, And I go in, I put like $10 in the pour box, and I fill up like 5 bottles. You know what I mean? So.
It's just you're over there. You got your own little bottle processing plant set up, a little mini one here, and you just tell the priest, "Here, take this. Just go on. Just put that in the box. Come on, we're good."
And the same thing with the holy oil. I gotta get the holy oil from the old country. I can't get it here. They won't, because it's an anointment oil, and they won't sell it to you, the priest. So I have to go and get it from like Israel, because I guess the church in Israel ships it out, and I order it from there, and it's very expensive. A little bottle like this is like $35, so you gotta ration that stuff out. Yeah.
A little touch for you, a little touch.
Just a little bit on the tip of your finger. Absolutely, yeah.
No, I was one of the things too I wanted to get to. You mentioned a couple things to talk about, and you were talking about
I've been very busy. Absolutely,
the haunted village in that museum. I think you said there's the museum. There's a haunted village that you were doing some research on.
I did too. I did a place called the Village Museum, the Museum Village Investigation, and I did one that was called the Bricking House Investigation, which is also a museum. That one I did. That's the one I did with John Zaffis and Eric Vitale and everybody else, and that was pretty amazing because, again, John Zaffis was related to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed Warren was his uncle. So while we were doing SB7 Spirit Box, Ed and Lorraine were coming through, and they were telling us all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? And my name came through first it came through the SB7 spirit box, and then it was validated by the Ovilus. Right after the spirit box said my name, the Ovilus did as well. So I don't know what, what was going on with me that night, but I mean, the Warrens were coming through a lot, and they had a lot to say. Ed and Lorraine had a lot to say, especially to John and Eric, because John, Eric, and Timothy all worked for them at one point on they were all on the same team, So that was an amazing investigation as well too. There was a room in that house that I went to that I got sick as a dog in, that I actually had to leave and go outside to get fresh air. I don't know what it was about that room, but me and another guy who was in there both got sick, and we both had to leave. Another investigator that was there that night.
Yeah, and so one of the things too, I was before we get too much further, Julie, I apologize, I forgot to ask this one. Do you recommend smudging and then using salt to absorb the residue after smudging?
Smudging always first, yes, and then salt to seal. Absolutely. And holy water and holy oil. When I smudge not only with white sage, I smudge with frankincense and myrrh. I smudge with 3 different things, and then I seal with 3 different things. I seal with salt, holy water, and holy oil.
Do you use the red brick?
No. I only used the red brick one time. I don't have 1,000 red bricks in my yard to grind down. Like I said, I order my kosher sea salt from the Dead Sea. It comes over from Israel, so I know it's as purified as it could possibly be, being that it's kosher. So that's good enough for me.
That's it. I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to multitask and it's not working.
Yeah, no, it's tough to multitask. Absolutely.
I know. The other one too is, like I said, there was another question. I'm trying to get through because everybody, this is a live show. We are 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. We are live. So anybody listening that's why sometimes it sounds like I'm an ADD squirrel. It's just, it loses complete focus. I'm trying to do all those things. But yeah, there was a couple, like I said, I wanted to get to, because I was looking at the time, I was like, all right, 40. So there's been several things that, I really want, the one, I mean, just because the name just made me smile because I'm a child, Miss Fanny's Victorian Party House investigation.
Yeah.
Just the whole Miss Fanny's thing was just, it just made me, made me chuckle. But yeah, that one, I just talked about that one because you did that with Scott Allen.
Yes.
From KGRA and Julie.
Julia's his partner at KGRA, and the program director from KGRA was there as well, Bill Forte. And I hooked it up with the homeowner, Julia. I had been there many times, and I've had all kinds of experiences there, from stick figures jumping on my neck, punching me in the head, to stick figures 6 feet tall standing in front of me, punching me in my stomach like on the SLS cameras. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At one time I was there, I lost my necklace with all my charms on it. And I called Julie up and I said, did you find, when you clean, if you find the necklace, it's mine. She said, I cleaned out, there's no necklace. A year later to the date, I heard the leather chair that I sit in when I do the interviews in the foyer, in this den, fall down. I went and picked up the chair, and my necklace was back at the house. Wow. It was under that chair. I don't know how I got back to the house, but when I looked at the date, I was like, holy crap, this is like a year to the day from the last time. But this particular time we went there and we did Estes experiment in the seance room. Okay. Scott, Julie, and Bill went up on the 3rd floor and were asking questions in the ether. We didn't have a DVR system set up, so they were just asking questions in the ether, and we were communicating with walkie-talkies. Now, I will say this, I did find out one thing: walkie-talkies will drive a REM pod absolutely nuts. So if you're working with walkie-talkies and you're around a REM pod, shut the REM pod off because it'll be a false positive all night. But
Well, that's
anyway,
good to know. I didn't realize that part.
yes. The walkie-talkies will make the REM pods go off every time you touch them. So I was sitting in there with the mask on and the earmuffs on, and I'm listening what's coming through the SB7 spirit box. They're asking questions in the ether. I'm answering them on the walkie-talkie so they can hear it in real time. And at one point, I felt like I was in a vortex of energy just swirling around me. And there were so many voices coming through at once. I couldn't comprehend how many people were talking to me. It felt like there was like 100 people. I tapped out. I said, listen, dudes, I'm out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I went upstairs. And when I got upstairs, everybody was like jumping around, going crazy. And I said, what happened? What happened? He said, Al, everything we asked, you answered to a T. You got all the right answers. Now, Bill was filming that session. We filmed all the sessions that night. Filmed me downstairs answering the questions. Filmed everybody upstairs asking the questions. I still haven't seen the edited versions of that film to see what was being said in real time. So, but we also did a thing with we got this really weird looking red light image on one of the walls. I mean, it was creepy looking, and I called the owner of the home up. I said, Julia, do you have like something over the fireplace that may go on, like a red light that goes on periodically or something on the other side of the room? And she's like, no, why? I said, because we got this image of this creepy red thing on the wall. And I sent it to her. She said, Al, I don't know what that is. And then we broke out. The seance room, the night I was there with Scott and Bill and Julie, was the hot room of the house. I've been there 2 or 3 other times where different rooms were the hot points of the house. But that night it was the seance room. And the REM pod would go off. We would be asking questions. The REM pod would go off. As soon as you picked up the camera to film the REM pod, it would shut off. And we all felt like we were dealing with a child, like playing with us. We could hear somebody whistling all night long, audibly, but we couldn't find the whistle. We did a thing with the quartz crystal pendulums. We were doing a thing with, and I've used my pendulum a million times. And yes, it'll spin, it'll go, clockwise. This night, this pendulum was spinning so hard, it was like straight out 90-degree angle. And mine was doing that, and Alan's was doing that, and Julia was doing that. So we had 3 pendulums all going the same way the whole night. And so then I said, let's change this up. Let's put the pendulums away, and let's break out the dowsing rods. And
wow.
We had 3 sets of dowsing rods, and again, the dowsing rods were all 3 in unison, crossing, going wide, spinning like helicopter blades. We had all 3 doing the same thing every time we asked a question. So the energy was just off the charts that night in that house. Now, the person who lived there, her name was Fanny Van Wyck, and the Van Wyck family was very, very rich family here in New York, like the Rockefellers. And they owned this property up here for hundreds of years. And in the end, Fanny was the last of them. So she would do seances, like during the Victorian age, she would do seances and in her house, in that house. And that's why we believe she's there. We believe there are other family members that come there, and just everything in the area that, the Dutch, when they settled Dutchess County, they called it the Devil's Playground because there was so much paranormal activity. So, whatever they were conjuring up, everything goes to that house, and like I said, I've been there 2 or 3 times, and I've always had amazing experiences there. Never did the Estes experiment there before that night, and that was pretty wild.
Mike, that's awesome. We can't get any Fanny in Manchester, England. I'm assuming that translates the same as it does over here in the States, because that's fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate you watching from Manchester, England too. It's like, man, it's midnight, so you're either the late shift or you're staying up late with us. So yeah, that's like we appreciate that. But yeah, no, because it's always just been fascinating, the paranormal. It's like it doesn't even really matter where your feelings are. So I've told several times the story. I've had a couple instances here in our house. It's a brand new home. It's only 5 years old, and I've seen 2 shadow figures in here. And there's there's this couple of incidents, and it's just one of those. I think that's, for me, is one of the biggest things. It's that quest for answers. I mean, I've never really liked the people that are steadfast, like this is what it is, because we really don't know.
No.
That's the thing is, you can't call yourself
an speculation. This.
Yeah.
I won't even argue with those people. Absolutely not.
Yeah, because it almost feels a little disingenuous to call yourself an expert. It's fun for somebody like us.
In anything,
yes. It's funny for us to say it, just because it's tongue in cheek, but it's one of those, when you see people come up here, well, I am an expert in this paranormal field. Well, you're like, you're studied in it, it, but I go, it's like, it's kind of hard to be an expert when, one, there's not a steadfast set of rules on things. And two, until we actually have like Ghostbusters, we got the machine on our wall here that the EPA guy's getting ready to shut down. I go, we don't even have a physical ghost that we've captured. So I go, it's really hard to call ourselves a true expert on this thing, because we physically, I mean, we've got images, we've got these things, but nobody can really explain what it is. And that's the thing. To me, that's the passion. I mean, that's the quest, is still trying to find the what is it?
Yeah, well, like I said, I always say, be careful what you wish for, and intention plays a big role in everything we do. Be careful what your intent is, because there are no coincidences.
That's fantastic, Mike. There's a better chance of getting hit by lightning whilst being attacked by a great white shark than getting a leg over in this godforsaken town. Oh my God, that's awesome. I appreciate it, man. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's, and I think Chris said he's back, but it's not showing him in yet. Something dropped him off. So Chris, try to drop out and come back in. We lost him. He was so young. We lost him.
My brother's a parapsychologist, okay? Mm-hmm. And he worked with Han Holzer's right-hand man, and he worked with Ethel, their psychic, and, he's been doing this for like 50, 60 years, and he's no closer to any answers, you know what I'm saying? So, there are some people who are gifted that know things that other people don't know, but as far as figuring it out, good luck with that. I don't think we won't know the answers to what we're looking for until we're on the other side. Mm-hmm. When you get on the other side, then everything gets revealed to you, and that's what it's all about, It's the mystery of life.
No, it's gonna. The other thing was one of those, because Brian's made the trek down south here. So, when is the plan on you getting down here to do the expeditions to find the skunk ape?
No, I'm never coming to Florida. Absolutely not. It took me 10 years to get rid of them. There's no way I'm going down here to be with me. Crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I finally got some distance. I'm not closing that gap.
No way on God's green earth.
Because I can point you in the location of the ginger squatch. That's easy to find.
That's awesome.
Unless it's showtime, then it's really hard to find the ginger squatch. The ginger squatch is MIA when it comes to showtime, apparently. But no, it's that's one of the things too, is I think getting down here is like, I really want to go out there and see what it is, because it's always been kind of the mystery to me. It's like hotter climate, just like evolution wise, it just seems like a big, hairy creature would not want to be down in this climate.
No. No.
That's
Yeah, well, I mean, the first Bigfoot I ever seen was down in South Florida during a heat wave. You know what I mean? And that thing was 9 feet tall, 1,000 pounds. So, I mean, they're there. You know what I mean? Believe me, they're there.
Laura, he is a very elusive creature, especially when you try to find him. He lives up to the name on instances like this. He ghosts. Yeah, but that's. Yeah, because that's one of those things, because there's bears here. So it's not something that's crazy. It's one of those, it just seems like something that, in a way, I mean, I think that's what makes it kind of even more peculiar. It seems like something that shouldn't be here. You wouldn't think you'd see bears. You wouldn't think because it's so warm. It doesn't get cold. It's like, so all that fur, all that hair, just seems like a counterintuitive thing to have down in this climate, because you're going to want to be in more of the water type thing, feathers, scales, that type of thing. I mean, it just seems weird for the fur aspect.
Yeah, well, I mean, these animals are all over the planet. I mean, it doesn't matter what the climate is. We like you said, bears shouldn't be down there. They should be up here, but they are down here. So. I mean, they're even down in South America. It doesn't get any hotter than that. So, I mean, these creatures are all over the planet, and, it doesn't matter. They, like us, I shouldn't call them creatures. I should call them people. Like us, they adapt to their environment, So.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, it's just, we've talked, I don't know if we really talked to you about it last time you were on. And it's been one of the biggest questions I've had, especially in that field. I don't know if I'm a big believer in the trans, where it's the interdimensional, one of those things, because I almost feel like that was a progression just for a quick answer of why we can't find the physical. Because I mean, I'm coming from Oregon, I've seen, there's been the tracks, you've seen the physical things. And that's been the biggest mystery for me, is why, and even with technology as it advances, why we're not capturing like those infrared or those night vision images.
Absolutely.
Because it feels like just with all the technology, we could just have a fleet of drones up there flying just in all different directions, and we should be able to catch something. And it's not. I think when somebody put a meme and it was just a joke, and I was laughing at it. It's like, what if this whole time Sasquatch, and Bigfoot really is blurry, and that's what he looks like. That he's not actually in focus. That's actually what he looks like.
From seeing them more than one occasions, they're not blurry. No, they're not. Yeah, no, they're not. No, as an eyewitness, more than one occasion. No, they are not blurry. They're as clear as you and I right now on this cameras. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of capturing them on, film or whatever. I mean, look, I believe that all of these fields are connected. And like I said, I had an ascension 2 winters ago, and I was told the secret to the universe. And it was frequency, vibration, consciousness, and I like to throw in intention in there as well. And I think, the longer you're in the field, the more you study this, you will eventually evolve into the interdimensional side of things, like anybody who's got any time under their belts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you experience too many things that don't make any sense. Absolutely. When you're boots on the ground and you're out there in the woods and you're experiencing stuff that's, mind-boggling, you can't figure out on God's green earth how things are done. It's, believe me, it took me a long time to I've changed my mind on these creatures so many times, but I'm on board now with the interdimensional thing. You know what I mean? And I believe it. I totally believe it. And, I look forward to mental telepathy with these creatures, and having conversations with, again, I said creatures, with these people, and having conversations with them, and learning more about them. I just did an interview for New York Outdoorsman magazine, and they wanted, the reporter was like, well, most of our people are hunters or fishermen and this, that, and the other thing. Do you have any reports of Bigfoots, in their woods? And I gave them like 3 reports of hunters that see these creatures in the swamps, in the woods, and a couple of boaters, fishermen that were on the Hudson River early in the morning, fishing in the morning fog. And when the fog lifted, there was one creature on one bank and one creature on the other bank at different times, but 2 actually fishermen seeing them in the river, So I don't know what the final product is going to be when he writes it up and edits it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping that he uses all the stuff I told him regarding the hunters. You know what I mean? Because it's an outdoorsman magazine. I thought that's the kind of thing he would want to hear about. Coon hunters that had issues with them in the woods, and people hiking the Appalachian Trail from Maine to Georgia, camping off trail on New York State, having these beings show up in their campsite and rummaging through their stuff. So, I don't know what he's going to, like I said, I don't know what he's going to put in, what he's going to take out, but I'm sure, when it's all said and done, it should be a pretty decent article anyway,
Yeah, and Lori just commented. She's like, "Is there a reward out for the APB on Ginger Squatch?" I said, "Yeah, so you can have a lock of the hair off either his chest or his back. We'll ship that to you." Yeah, because it's one of those. It's one of I want to experience so bad. I mean, so I think part of that. I think that's why I'm such a healthy dose between Fox and Mulder. Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. I really, because it's like, I believe, but yet I'm grounded in the science thing, where it's anybody that keeps showing me a picture behind you, like it's blurry, and says like, here, look at these things, look at these things, look at these things. My first question is always, did you go back? And when the answer is no, my radar is immediately going off. Because it's one of those, because if you keep seeing stuff, and you go back and review your stuff, go back. There's to see if there's anything. I mean, you may not get lucky, but at some point you should come across a track, a lock of hair. I mean, something. And there's a lot of people that they don't seem to follow. And that's why I keep throwing like all these people. It's like, as a community, I really wish everybody could get together and almost come up with like a reporting guide.
Well, you know what? Chris Reinhardt
Mm-hmm.
discovers that that's what he's working on right now, with a bunch of me. Chris Connor from down in Florida is involved in it. And Brian, I think, is going to be involved in, and some guy named Dallas. I don't know where Dallas is from, but he's and that's exactly what Chris wants to do. Like, right now the BFRO is the one and only place to go to, but the BFRO doesn't believe that there's anything out there other than Bigfoot. You know what I mean? So if you see a Dogman or a Gugway or something like that, everything is a Bigfoot. Everything is a Bigfoot. And hey, Paul, how you doing?
And like you were just saying there, in a way, it almost feels like it's flipped now. Everything is a Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like Bigfoot has become like, it's old news. Everything's Dogman. I mean, it's like, because I've seen a lot of people. It's like, look at this picture. I mean, I'm not seeing it as much as like, I think it's Bigfoot. You'll see like something in a photograph, the infamous blob squatch, type photos, and they'll be like, look, it's a Dogman. You can clearly see it. And I'm just like, do you think that's just because it's just become kind of the it thing right now? Like everybody's trying to find it.
It's the flavor of the day for sure. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't put any credence in anybody's picture. Like, if someone is taking a selfie of themselves in the middle of the woods and then they post the picture and they have like 20 things circled in the trees behind them. You know what I mean? And they said, this is a Bigfoot, and this is a Dogman, and this is a Gugway, and this is your mother's ass. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I can't buy that. I can't buy that. And every time you go out in the woods and you take a picture of yourself, there's not going to be 20 cryptids in the pictures behind you.
No.
I got 2 photographs of a Bigfoot, both by accident. Okay, and 1 picture of a Dogman, and that was by accident as well. You know what I mean? And that's all I have. I've been doing this for how many years? I've been going into the woods. I have clans that I associate with every single year, different times of the year, different locations, and these people, they tolerate me being in their locations, and I never have a bad experience. But yet, I've had people at the locations with me watch these things come out of the shadows and night vision goggles and walk up behind me, stand behind me like 7 feet. And I don't see it because they're standing behind me. But the guy across from me with the night vision goggles is freaking out, saying, now the thing is right behind you. He's going to grab you. And I'm like, don't worry about it. We're okay. Nothing's going to happen because we're good. This is my location and we're good here. They know who I am, and again, nothing ever happens to me, So, I mean, that's the kind of rapport I have with them. And I say they tolerate me. So, but I don't push it either. I'm not there every 10 minutes, trying to be up their ass. You know what I mean? I give them space, when they want me to leave, they let me know and I leave, I don't sit there and say, oh, no, I'm not going. Okay. You want me to leave out of respect for you? I'll leave, and I've always walked out of the woods on my own will, power, nothing's ever happened to me. I've never been hurt or anything like that. So,
So I got a question. What is your thoughts on Oklahoma having a Sasquatch hunting season? What are your thoughts on that? I mean,
I think they're morons. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I also think that there's an obscure law, and I want to say it's in the forest registry, or it may be in what was the other one? I forgot the name of the other branch of the federal. But there's an obscure law. As a matter of fact, an FBI agent told it to me. If you kill one of these, let's call them people, if you kill one of these Bigfoot people in a federal forest or park, it's 10 years in jail, automatic with a $10,000 fine. There's no whatchamacallit. There's no pleading it down. That's it. You're going to jail for 10 years and it's going to cost you 10 grand. Now, if they're hunting in state land in Oklahoma and the state government allows it, so be it. But I wouldn't want to go in and piss these things off. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've had a friend who had one run right past him while he was in full camo, leaning against the tree during hunting season, deer season, and he was holding a 30-06. And I said to him, well, why didn't you shoot it? Because this is a friend of mine who broke my chops for 30 years, And he said, it was too big. It was just too big. The one I seen in Florida as a kid, it slammed on the police car. The deputy had a shotgun right there beside him. And when the sheriff asked him, why didn't you shoot it? The deputy said, it was too big. It was just too big. You don't realize how big these creatures are until you see them up close and personal. Your brain can't comprehend what your eyes are seeing because these things are not supposed to exist. When people say, oh, I want to see one up close and personal, be careful what you wish for because you better handle it the right way because these things are massive and they're strong, very, very strong. And I seen one on a parkway one time sunning itself, right? I was stuck in traffic and it just rained early in the day. And this creature was up in the park, up on a rock. I called Brian from the Parkway. Brian says, "You got to turn around and go back." I said, "I can't. They got the divider closed off. I can't turn around." The very next day, Brian and I went back. We found a fist print. We found a knee print. We found glyphs. We found arches, X's, breaks. We found all kinds of evidence we found because we went back the very next day.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of, the chat like blew up on that Jaren's question too. It's kind of like my take on it is it was strictly somebody at the tourism department of Oklahoma came up with an awesome idea. Let's just make up something, because none of them, I guarantee, don't even believe it exists.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So they're just like, because even in the wording in there, it has to be captured alive, unharmed. And they're like, people are going to be coming, we could potentially have thousands of people coming to Oklahoma now trying to search for Bigfoot. And they're going to be staying in hotels, eating. They're going to bring, this money's just going to come in out of just like this gimmick.
Right. Yeah, it's a tourism gimmick. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
But I have two nieces who both work for the forestry department in different states, one in New Mexico, one in California. And in their guidebook, when they're hired, it tells them what to do if campers come across a Bigfoot. There's a whole section on Bigfoot in it, in their guide. You know what I mean? And they'll tell me anything I want to know about Bigfoot. But when I mention the word Dogman, they just say, "No comment, Uncle Al."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm one of those. It's like, especially with camping, I think that's where Jack Links just was brilliant with their messing with Sasquatch commercials.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those ones are just, those ones are awesome. I wish they'd quit, they didn't quit making those. I mean, those ones were fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I think those and the Bud Light Real Men of Genius were like two ad campaigns that should not have gone away. Those ones were, it's one of those, we got to let you, we need to start wrapping it up there. We got to let you go. We're already at an hour and 16. We're going to have you back on. I mean,
I sent you that list of like 10 things that I've been doing.
I think we talked about 3 or maybe 4 of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, there's plenty of material. I've been very, very busy this year, and like I said, I got 3 things set up for next year already. I don't know. I know Chris and I plan on going out. I'm gonna bring him down to one of my locations. He's gonna bring me up to his location. So, we're just waiting for his eye to get better and my ankle to get better to get back out there. But I can't wait to get back in the woods. I'm jonesing to get back in the woods. And that's just, these things are real. They are out there. They're not all, bloodthirsty killers. But, you could come across one on a bad day, having a bad day, and it could not, it may not turn out good for you. So be careful what you wish for.
Oh, yeah. I think we could definitely have an Al Santariga 3. Because we've already had Al Santariga 2. We definitely could have a 3. Yeah, for sure. And that's one of those. Because this is always been.
Do you want to talk about my UFO experience or the time I was dealing with? I don't know if what we talked about the last time, but there was an issue. Brian always likes to bring it up. My son is Sam, the demon issue, demonic thing that happened to me when I was working. So.
Well, we talked a little bit before the show started, so I mean we can leave it for everybody. You have a KISS connection.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we talked about this. This wasn't even planned. This was pretty cool. I
got all my tour shirts from 75 to 79, and then I got one in 96, and then one in 2000. That was my last shirt.
Yeah, he was getting a little friendly with one of the band members' cousins.
Nieces, yeah, cousins, yeah. She was a cousin,
yeah. I was like really fascinated. It's because one of those. It's a group. I mean, what's not to like the giant guy in the boots with the huge hair, Paul Stanley rocking the chest, making the chest hair look like it's a normal piece of clothing with a chain. I said they're just. it was just a band. I mean, it was just they knew how to. I mean, they knew how to merchandise before. I mean, you wonder. It's like other places like Disney and everybody else could really learn a thing about merchandising from Kiss.
Yeah, and when they were young and they were raw, they really rocked the house. You know what I mean? I mean, I love the old shit that was raw, balls to the walls, kind of rock and roll, and loud and raw, and I love that stuff. You know what I mean? As they got older and more polished, and I mean, the stage shows became more immaculate. They were, pretty impressive, but the music wasn't quite the same. I like the old raw stuff. When I hear it, I want to hear it like it's live coming out of a Marshall stack. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that was the thing. I mean, just when you're talking about it, it's like, now, were you just hanging out, or did you date Peter Chris's cousin?
Oh no, we dated. Me and Tina dated for a while. Yeah.
I said, and that was like, so you did that, and just the fact that, you're actually in there, kind of jamming with the band too, which is just
No, I didn't jam with the band. I jammed with Ace. That was the
I mean, that is that's the band member, but I mean, still, it's like, God, this is just cool. I mean, this, like I said, this was not planned. I just grabbed one. I go into my closet and I see all my graphic shirts. I'm just like, that's what, nah. I'm like, I haven't worn my Kiss shirt in a while. Boom.
Yeah, well, because the studio in Pelham was the closest music studio to the Bronx where he lived. He lived like right over the Pelham border line, and it was the closest studio from where I lived in Yonkers as well. So, when we all jumped in my friend's van and we headed down there, it was like a Cheech and Chong van, you know what I mean? And with a couple of cases of beer and everything else. And we got into the studio and we started jamming, and I went out to go to the bathroom, and I looked over into the next studio and I seen who was there, because I knew what Ace looked like without his makeup. I no one else that I was with knew who it was, but I knocked on the window and I said, dude, you got to come next door and, jam with us, and he was like, all right, no problem, and it's funny now, my old guitar teacher and Ace are like best friends. They hang out all the time.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this up here, give yourself a plug. Like, what do you have? What show is coming up next for you?
Oh God, I got so many shows coming up. I mean, people have been reaching out to me. Well, I was telling someone the other day, I said, every time I try to pull back in this field and try to like ride off into the sunset, something always pulls me back in, and like I was gonna just chill out, not do any shows for a while, and just kind of lay low, and it was like, it was when it rains, it pours. I got hit with so many shows, one right after the other. I got so many shows coming up. I can't even remember them all, and I didn't want to do that many shows. I just wanted to chill out. But it is what it is. I appreciate the people inviting me on, and like I said, I'll always, if I can do it, I will always do it. I don't care if you got 20 listeners or 20,000 listeners. If you invite me on and I got the time, I will definitely come on and we could talk, but
that's an awesome quote, by the way.
I think
just want to try to get out. They pull me back in.
Yeah. I think it's the universe just telling me we're not done with you yet. You can't go yet. So I don't know. And
I've got it up on here too for everybody to see. This is the Bronxville Paranormal Society website.
Yeah, that's the website. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, like I said, for those listening, just check out the description either on your RSS feed, when you're whatever podcast platform you're doing, or for those watching on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff. If you look right down below you, down there, keep down. You'll see all the comments. I got all the links right there for everything for Facebook and stuff. So same thing, commenting. We appreciate that. That helps. And for everybody that shares and doing stuff. It's one of those, through the different shows I've done, you guys, I am absolutely convinced now there's basically a Facebook firewall that you can't get past this unless you pay. and then it's like they open up the gate, and then you can disseminate out there. So it's like people have to share it, because there's just once, I don't know if you've noticed this, like when you share a post, you'll have like 1,400 friends, and you'll get 2 people that'll click on it, or it'll show like you just had a couple people, and it's like, something's not right. Like these show, we've got 1,400 people that say they like Three Beards podcast, and I'll put up a picture on there, and we'll get maybe 10, 12 people. That's it. And you're like, I go, according to the numbers, 1,400 people should see this.
Exactly.
And so,
Absolutely,
so there's something, so there's something amiss. And that's why I said,
something afoot here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all being zucked is what's going on.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're something's going up, but yeah. So I just really appreciate everybody that shares the show, interacts with us. I mean, it's, all joking aside, like I said, you guys, we can't thank you enough for anybody that's given us stars, anybody that's, we've got 3 people, I think, that are subscribers and stuff. It means a lot, because you guys are giving your money, to us. And it's just as a way of I'm blown away. I mean, I really appreciate it, you guys. That means a lot. It really does. Because it's just, this is the thing of passion. I mean, who's going to turn down if you grow and you can do it as a full-time thing? Nobody's going to turn that down. But it's just it's a lot of fun. I mean, I get to meet people and talk to people that I wouldn't have ever done before. I mean, everybody in the chat room, if we hadn't done this, there's a good chance I never would have talked to anybody that's in here. And so this is really, really cool. Getting to know everybody. So it's one of those, I love it. So it's,
help us make this our full-time job by sharing and kicking it out there. We'd love to entertain you full time.
Yeah. Let us travel, so that way we could be up there in the Bronxville Paranormal Society headquarters there with Al.
Absolutely.
And while we're up there, we can tell him we're going to go out for dinner. We'll put a hood over him, and we'll fly him back to Florida, so that way we can sit down. We can all have a drink with Brian.
My sister lived in Florida her whole life. She's been waiting for me to come down for the last 30 years. It still hasn't happened. If I told Brian, I said, if I ever came down to see you and my sister found out, she'd put a curse on me. You know what I mean?
And is your sister doing okay? I know she was caught in that Daytona storm.
Yeah, no, my sister. I mean, everything flooded out, and they had to do, thousands of dollars worth of damage and stuff like that. But they, she got through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Brian, he commented on their last one. Love your show, even if you have crazy mailmen on it. Yeah. So what are those, like, one of the times, like I said, we have you on again, we need to have you talk about some mail carrier stories. You've got to have some crazy ones.
Well, yeah, that's the one about Son of Sam is a mail carrier story. Absolutely. Crazy story. Yep. It's like Brian's favorite story. Whenever he introduces to me to anybody, he says, tell him about the Son of Sam thing. Tell him about the Son of Sam thing, So I always have to start off with that,
And Jaron, sorry about that, man. I said that really sucks. I hope everything goes good with that. But that's the thing. I don't want anybody to feel like, if you can't, I don't want you to feel bad about that. Share the show. Just you being here commenting is doing great things. Don't feel like like this is a TV evangelist thing. I need you to dig down deep and help us. Help us. The Lord is going to bless you if you dig down and put money in that plate. I'm like, no, I'm not doing the coming to America thing. This is because we've got God, and I believe there's a God up there. No. We
just appreciate you watching, man. We understand, man, and hope all goes well for you. Just share it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just by sharing the show, just telling, if you tell a couple friends, it's like, hey, I really like these guys, and just check them out. I mean, it's the same thing, because then people are they're gonna get to know people like Al, Brian, North Carolina Cryptid Paranormal Project, Tom and Carlita, they're going to get to know these people, and they're going to be able to, see things that they may not have seen before. And that's the whole goal. It's just to work together, keep the whole thing, going. And that's been the plan. So yeah, caring is sharing. This is one of those, we need the NBC thing. The more you know, the rainbow to go across the screen. Yeah, Pastor Craig needs a new Cadillac. Am I not worth your Gucci money? Your Red Lobster money? Am I not worth this money?
You're out of control. Now you guys got a good show. There's no doubt about
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I mean the energy between everybody is good, and I mean, the quality of the show is solid. The questions are great. You know what I mean? It's a quality product, absolutely. Look, and I'll be the first one to tell you, not all hosts are created equal. I've done a million interviews over the years, and believe me, I've worked with the best and I've worked with the worst. And the same thing with guests. Not all guests are created equal. So you know what it is when you get somebody where it's like pulling teeth to get them to answer a question. So it's a tough gig,
Oh, we've had a couple. We've had a couple.
Of course you do, because you just run across them during the whole. This is how the field is.
Yeah, we had one author on, and we had him on to talk about his relative. I want to say it was his grandfather or his father's books, and he's like, "Nope, I don't believe it at all. That's a bunch of bullshit." And I'm like, "What?" It was a derailment right from the beginning. I'm like,
man,
at that moment, you're just like, you take all your notes, and just like,
yeah,
just throw them behind you. It's like, well, this is worthless.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's all in fun. So, well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Al, really appreciate you coming on again.
No, anytime.
I mean, it's been a pleasure.
Anytime you guys want me, you got me. I'm easy. Like we could talk about anything you want to talk about. Like I said, usually people want to hear about my UFO experiences, or they want to hear about my Son of Sam thing, which is pretty crazy to begin with. But I mean, it's and I couldn't talk about the Son of Sam thing for like 30 years because the guys that experienced it, I worked with, so I had to wait for everybody to retire, they were all senior to me. So once everybody that was involved in the Son of Sam case retired, I was able to discuss it without worrying about having any come back and bite anybody in the ass, so.
Yeah. Well, that's always been our goal. It's just to get the story that isn't the normal one, so and this is really good. Like I said, I really enjoyed tonight because I've got PTSD from my research for tomorrow night. I've been having some whacked dreams the last couple of nights because tomorrow night I'm a little plug for that. So people doing a show with Joey Medea over there. It's the Sinister Mysteries, and we're doing one on the German experiments that they did around Auschwitz and Japanese Unit 731. And so my thing is Unit 731. And for anybody that doesn't know that, tune in there on Into the Outer Realms. You're gonna have some fun. I'm watering it down because I don't want everybody because I basically have done a deep dive. I might as well have just been personal, intimate into the mind of Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, jeez.
Is pretty much what it's been. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So
don't let this stuff consume you, though. You know what I mean? It'll suck you in, and it'll reel you in, and you can get consumed and very easily. It happens to a lot of people. It really does. And they forget about their families and stuff. You can't forget about the people you love and your family, and just don't let this shit consume you, because it will.
Oh no, it's just one of those. Just to get done, just like as you're doing the research. It's just because I like to just go all these tangents, and it's like. Boy, it's going to be a tough one. So it's going to be interesting for anybody that doesn't know the history. Tune in. That's going to be a lot of fun. And so I said, well, we're going to do that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so everybody, we'll be back next week with another great show. I don't know if this is going to be tough to beat. This one was fun. I really enjoyed it.
This wasn't that good. Believe me.
Yeah, oh yes, it was. Yeah,
It was okay. I felt like I was just hanging out bullshit with a bunch of friends. You know what I mean? I wasn't really into anything deep stories. Where I I've been told I'm a great storyteller, and I suck people in, and I make them feel like they're actually experiencing it at the time I'm telling it, like reliving it through my eyes. And tonight was just having fun. You know what I mean?
Well, the fact that we've held this many people this long is tremendous.
Well, I'm glad people hung around. Thank you everybody for hanging around. Greatly appreciate it. So
go check out Bronxville Paranormal Society. Go go see if. Just keep writing to him. He might end up coming up with his own Al Santariga, holy water bottle.
Oh, the Aqua de Dio. I already got the name for it. It's the Aqua
there you go.
Dio.
See?
Yeah, it's the Aqua de Dio. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like it may or may not be Bronx tap water, but hey.
Tap water, it's not. I don't even have tap water in my house.
Yeah.
I got
what are you doing? Holy water.
This is prime holy water.
No,
that's right.
God, no, would never go down that road, man.
That's right.
You don't want to offend the big guy upstairs. Absolutely
no, like I said, all these views expressed by the Three Beards podcast are not, are not endorsed in any way by the Bronxville Paranormal Society or Al Santariga. Any likeness, just when you get the movies things, any likeness, is purely fictional and is by, by chance, and just completely non-planned. So he is not responsible for the views expressed on this show.
And nor does this reflect any Catholic church.
Yes.
No, absolutely not.
Yes,
you guys are out of control.
I know. We try to be.
It's out of control. Yeah.
It gets the people going.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. Well, I had a great time tonight. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure, to hang out with you guys and BS for a while.
You're welcome, sir. Like I said, we'll get some rest. Tell the family hello. Thanks again. Appreciate it. And I said we will see. I'll reach out to you. Like I said, I think we're going to have you on for round 3. We have to. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stories still to talk about. You keep coming up with more of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I said, we've just touched the tip of the iceberg with me. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm happiest when I'm out investigating. It doesn't matter what I'm investigating, as long as I'm investigating. So I'm always going to be out there doing something, whether it's squatching, big ghost hunting, or UFO stuff like that. Whatever it is. You know what I mean?
We'll make it really awkward. We don't want just the tip. We want the whole iceberg.
Yeah.
Let's make it really. Let's make it really awkward.
Absolutely.
All right. On that note, go check out Bronxville Paranormal Society. You go to their website. Like I said, everybody, links are down below. Go check them out on Facebook. Like, follow, support these guys. They're doing a really good job. Like I said, it's everybody. It's going to take you 10 seconds to hit like. That's all you got to do. Click. So all right, guys, we'll have a great night. We will see you there. Let's close this thing out. So this is brought to you by nobody yet. We need a sponsor. We're trying to get a sponsor. See right here, this is gonna be like that billboard. Picture your name right here. It could be right here. This could be yours. So yeah, but just right now, basically, this is like public broadcasting. This has been brought to you by people like yourself. Thank you so much for all your love and support in this project. Yeah. So check us out on social media. Like, share, subscribe. Send us those lovely stars. We love those things very much. Yeah, Laura. Yeah, nobody wants just a tip. No, you want more of the experience, not a tip, not just the tip.
Hey, look, and if you ever find yourself out in the woods squatching, remember 2 things: protect yourself physically and spiritually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things. All jokes aside, yeah, everybody wants to go out Bigfoot. There are little things called snakes. There's a lot of people go out and they just take their camera. It's like, okay, this is the great outdoors. You kind of need to be prepared. I mean, not just spiritually. You're outside. There's no 911. Life alert isn't going to help you out in the middle of the woods. I've fallen. Yeah, they're not going to be able to just roll up and just grab you. So just physically and spiritually.
Yeah, because believe me, there's a lot of stuff out there that will attach itself to you. You will bring it home. Believe me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Thanks everybody for watching. We're rebroadcast every Wednesday night on ERRT Radio at 11 p.m. ish on Wednesday. But once again, like I said, thank you everybody for all the support. Check us out next week. We will be back for another one. Like I said, go support Al and those guys. Brian, they're doing a lot of good things over there. So check those guys out. But everybody, we will see you next week. Good night.
Good night.